I want to be able to move into the leg without closing off the joint here. So I have to pull myself, because if I push with this leg, this will just clam up. So my knee is moving out, and that is drawing me across. So just feel the knees, active knees. The empty knee pulls me. Remember, the sinking has two components. The bending of the legs to get my dantian closer to the ground, but also the sort of collapse of the spine a little bit so that the lordosis disappears. This feeling of the Ming Men pushing back, the dantian pulling in a little bit. Without that, there'll always be a split here where the curve of the lower back will split your body into two. I'm bending my legs, trying to keep them as bent as possible, but at the same time, I'm sinking down into my hips with my shoulders, like the distance between your shoulders and your hips is trying to shrink. So the knee goes out. The hand is allied to the knee, and I'd like to be able to get my hand down as low as the knee. And that will help the lordosis curve out, disappear. Bring it into riding horse proper. Elbows out, hands in, knees out, and the feet, the toes trying to twist inwards. Trying to reach down, let the spine tilt. We want a real sense that the body is one unit. It's no longer an upper and a lower body, it's just one thing. And we'd just like to be able to just get down to the ground so I can touch the ground here. So in order to go low, you need to build up the intensity quite slowly. Otherwise, you'll hurt yourself. It's an intensity that pushes you open. Back up again. Just try and become aware of your skeleton. So we are endoskeletal. Our skeleton is inside and it's clad with flesh. You can think of that as like being the still structural part of you. And then you have this flesh around it, which is motile. It's capable of slipping on the skeleton. You know, like a kitten or a puppy, you can just grab like a handful of skin and flesh and it just comes away from the skeleton. That's a sign of real health and youthfulness. What we want to do is get into the fascia. They call the fascia the soft skeleton. It's just this structure, millions of threads and sheets of connective tissue that's just keep everything in place around the skeleton, within the rib cage and within the pelvic bowl here, but also outside the skeleton as far as your skin. And that is just got movement and transmission. Energy is just moving through that all the time. That's what we just want to connect to. So the body is composite. It's not just one thing. It has this hard core of bone, and it has this soft flesh that is just full of movement. Ultimately, we'd like to feel the skeleton having movement as well, like it's made out of rubber rather than hard bone, which is what it is. The bones that we're accustomed to seeing are dead ones that are, and they're just white and dry and brittle. But the bones in your body have got lots of blood flowing through them. They have the marrow, and they're quite rubbery. Otherwise, we'd be breaking them a lot more often than we do. We start off just feeling the stillness, the structural integrity of the skeleton. And then slowly we start feeling it starting to ooze. So it has this movement. And now let's just breathe. Feel the lower back muscles tightening to extend the spine. Feel the belly muscles tightening to flex the spine. Feel the agonist and the antagonist. So the agonist here would be the belly muscles, which are tending to bend you. And then the antagonist will be the back muscles, which are bringing you back. I want to feel those two sets of muscles bound together in this organic heaving machine rather than a mechanical back and forth. So then we have to feel the tension here, forcing the back muscles to kick in to pull me back, feeling the belly here being stretched and being forced to pull back. So as I get to the extreme of one contraction, it forces the other one to kick in. And now let's just try a little bit with the wall. I'm not really going to lean on the wall, maybe a little bit. I want to work the hands like this, so moving them against each other, not in order to do anything to the wall, but in order to get that movement inside me as close to my spine and especially my sacrum as possible. So I'm working the wall and just trying to get this sort of wriggly energy into my body. Come off the heels, and then you'll lose a little bit of that stiff stability of the skeleton. We're really just trying to activate the fascia, get the fascia singing. jelly-like energy flowing through the body, like an octopus or like an animal that has a hydrostatic skeleton, like worms or sea anemones, octopus, anything that doesn't have a bony skeleton or an exoskeleton. My feet are working the ground to try and get this movement into my sacrum, and my hands are working the wall to try and get similar movement into my spine and my skull. And then let's just turn around. Just the sacrum on the wall. Working my feet on the ground just to sort of rock my sacrum against the wall. Feeling is we're trying to sort of almost break the bones into parts so that structurally we're not quite so static and coarse, especially the sacrum and the spine and the skull. We'd want that to split into all of its little pieces. Each vertebra is separate from the ones beside it. The sacrum breaks into its respective vertebra, but it also feels like it's splitting in two on this plane. All the plates in the skull become soft and mobile a little bit to help the skull breathe with the craniosacral rhythm. Incline forwards. And then just straighten up. Bring the whole back onto the wall and then just arch back. And then back down. And then just push yourself up. You don't have to touch the floor. You just need to get down. So the hands go below the knees. And then just imagine you're picking or scooping handfuls of water. Back to riding horse. And now let's just try this one. Keep the legs a little bit bent. You're really interested in this hand that's coming up, so you naturally turn towards it. And then we just come off the heel of that foot. So as I turn to my right, I'm coming into the right foot, but I'm also lifting the heel. So I feel quite unstable on it, a bit trembly, a bit wobbly, but also a little bit more awake and more alive. but it's like a delicate liveliness. It's not a fierce one. Feel this shape here. So just think of the elbows, and you're pivoting about the elbows with each arm. This is the exercise from which the figure of eight exercise developed. So one hand is blocking a low blow like this, and the other hand is blocking a high blow like this. And both forearms are twisting as you do it. So this is called supination, and this is called pronation. The top hand is pronating, so this elbow is pulling in here. This elbow is going out, and then I twist the other way. You see how simple it is then for it just to become the figure eight. It just becomes a little bit round. The two phases just become continuous. So instead of just going back the way I came, I roll around both the top and the bottom. Just a little bit wider. The same thing. The wider you get, the more stable it will feel. So just feel what you gain in stability, but also feel what you lose in liveliness. There's always a trade-off. So with the figure of eight exercise especially, we just want to get inside it. So we're not too worried about what it looks like, whether it's right. We're just with the workings. We're right inside. We're really writhing and wriggling. And now let's just do the shoulder exercise. The legs remain a little bit bent. And then the other way. So the hand that's going down reaches behind and lifts something over your head. And now, like the butterfly stroke, but going on your back, both arms come up. So really just flexing the spine, chest right up, and then chest right down. And now let's go the other way. So like you're lifting this cape up and throwing it over your head. Now let's try just a little bit of that, the walking with the circle. So I lift one foot up as far as my knee, and then I reach out with the foot, and then I put it down some distance away, and then I use it to pull myself forwards. Up to your knee, reach out with the foot, place it down, and then pull yourself into it. And just let the other foot pop up. and then lift this foot up, step out and down. Up, out, down, and draw. I'd like the step to be as long as possible, which means I have to turn to my left if it's my right foot that's stepping to get added extension on the leg. I reach out, and then as it goes down, I turn this way so that I can get as much distance between my feet as possible. I have to sink and turn to put the foot down, and then I pull myself into it. Foot up, foot out, and now here I have to sink and turn to the right, and then pull. Feel the mind. Especially as I go down, I have to be really determined to make that extension. So it requires a lot of spirit. This is what we would like. We'd like everything that we do to require a lot of spirit, because that's really what we're trying to work on and practice is spirit. Spirit comes to the rescue. When things get difficult, spirit will rise and lend assistance. Bring it back. So as we sink down, there's a sense of swelling, a real pressure pushing you into the skin of your body. So we'd like that to be there, especially when we're doing the form. So the form should be very sunk, the steps should be long, and it should feel quite fierce, strong. So if someone came up behind me, put their hands on my shoulders and just pushed down just a little bit, I would spring into a different awareness. There'd be something there I had to fight. I had to really listen to and obey, but also fight. That's the feeling when you get it right. Something is pushing you beyond your normal limits. So traditionally, you remain with your teacher long enough to just realize that that's the only way you make progress. When you let the teacher push you out of your known and into the unknown. What we'd like to be able to do is do that for ourselves. And that's what spirit does. It will push you into the unknown. When the spirit comes up, suddenly everything is unknown. You're out of your comfort zone and you're now in a world of real excitement and intensities, but also danger. But you will rise to the danger. Now let's try the form. I'm turning to the right here to put all the weight in the right foot. But now here, when I extend the right foot here, I have to turn to the left slightly to get the long step. Feeling the turn that places the foot, as well as the turn that lifts the foot. So let's try the next one. So the first thing we do, we're in the left foot, 70%. So I just turn. If anything, I put more weight into the left foot. Just turn, and I make this shape with the hands. So the elbows rise a little and the hands move towards each other. So I'm now touching someone's right arm, and then I grab their wrist and pull in that direction towards this corner. And as I come into the right foot, I push forwards with the left hand and bring these toes right round. So I'll do it this way. Turning to the right, elbows rise a little to make this diamond shape with the hands. Transferring the weight, pulling with the right hand as you come out of the left foot, and then pushing with the left hand as you come into the right foot. So the two hands are about the same distance away from you, but the right arm is just a lot straighter. Pulling with the right hand, pushing with the left. Make sure those left toes are right round. And then push yourself back into the left foot. And as you do so, just a big circle with the arms, right down, and then lifting up as you bring up the right foot. So the feeling is that your right arm is in a strong ward off, and your left wrist is just resting on top of the right wrist. Pull and push, and then crossing hands. So you're at 70% in the left foot, and you're really quite sunk on this one. So from the punch, turning strongly to the left, but staying in the left foot. Hand swings across your body, elbows coming in here. Left hand just slips the other side of the elbow, and then you turn here, and it's really quite cramped. Another name for this posture is apparent close-up. And then straighten up, and then come forwards to push. Yield, pull and push, and then big scoop, reach down, straighten up as you bring the arms up, straighten up the back, but not the legs. And then once more. Turn to the left, turn back to the right, moving back to give yourself a bit of space, straighten up, and then move forwards to push. Stay in the front foot, but turn. The front foot is now a back foot, and then move into the right foot, pulling with the right hand, pushing with the left. Really bend the legs here, and then just straighten up the back. It's just up to attention posture. Sacrum heavy, legs soft so that I feel I can sink through them. This feels like it's gently reaching upwards. And just let the two sides like you're sort of doing this with the heels inside. So there's always this gentle play between the two sides of your body. prevents it from becoming stiff and solid.